record. I will edit this recording afterwards and cut off the beginning. 1 second. 10. Record. Okay. It looks like we are live. Edit this recording afterwards and cut off the beginning. Getting some echo here. All right. I don't think I hear any more echo. Sam Chopra, welcome to the call.
Thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. We've got a few people jumping on now to our call. And actually, Sam, I am going to make you a co-host just in case you care to share any screens or anything, but that way you're in there. Welcome, friends. I think we've got Riddhi Shah, who's dialing in all the way from, are you in New Delhi? Where are you, Riddhi?
I'm in Mumbai at the moment. Hello, everyone.
Where are you?
I'm in Mumbai.
Mumbai. All right. We got Mumbai. We've got the East Coast. We've got Scott Stein dialing in from New York as well. Folks, my name is Tom Trong, and I have the pleasure of introducing my friends and YouTube and the social media world to Sam Chopra. Sam, it has, let's call it 20 plus years, 2 decades, maybe 3 now in the real estate world. Sam has been is our eXp India country broker / president. He was appointed and named to that position 2 months ago in April. And he has a very long list of, a very long resume, I should say. You can find Sam on LinkedIn. This is his LinkedIn profile that I'm sharing right now, Samir/Sam Chopra. And he's got a long list of accolades. So Sam, why don't we start with just you saying hello to everybody and give us a little bit of a background. Tell us who you are, and let's get going to the call about eXp India.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Tom, for having me on your show, if I may call it. Looking forward to the next 30, 45 minutes or whatever it takes. I'm based out of New Delhi, India. And for some of you, I heard Riddhi, you're from Mumbai, and a lot of others from different parts of the world. I see some Indian names beyond yours as well. So to give you a background, I'm a chartered accountant, which is really a CPA, a certified public accountant out of India. And I started my career with American Express Bank. I worked with the bank in the late 80s. Yeah, I am that old. And I worked with them. I worked as a CPA. I worked with some international accounting practices, which included the International Accounting International Practicing Accountants Association, and several others. I was a global board member and also running Middle East and Asia for the accounting practice. So that's been my history. At some point of time, I moved into the back office business. So BPOs, call centers, all of that. And I worked very closely with the US, the UK, Australia, and other English-speaking countries. I did a lot of back office work, primarily accounting work for CPA or CA firms across the globe. Ran that, then I went into financial services. I was fortunate to exit before the global financial crisis. I sold my equity about 4 months before from the company, so extremely lucky, fortunate, if I may say. And then I looked around for other businesses, and I found a real estate company that that I went to actually for a back office assignment, but it turned out that I got fascinated by real estate, and I said, you know what, let me just get into real estate itself. So I picked up a brokerage firm, co-founded it with my wife in India, and I brought in essentially Remax into India and ran that for about 15 years. Um,
Were you the
Exited in about
master franchise or did you buy a franchise, Sam?
I was the master franchise for India. I took the business at one point of time to about 260 offices in 62 cities with about 3,500 agents.
Wow, pretty
So
impressive.
we were by far the largest real estate company in the country, and all through this is all franchises basically.
Yes.
And so hung up or exited from Remax about uh, almost 3 years ago. And then I set up my own real estate entity, but I realized that I'd been very protected by a brand. So the power of the brand is something which would probably take me 3 decades to build, or maybe even more. If I was lucky, it would be three.
Yep.
And I realized that, you know, setting it up on my own, it didn't make sense. If there is a recipe for a particular food product, then you don't want to start building it from scratch. You have a recipe, use it. So, don't go beyond, what it actually gives as a recipe. So I changed my tact and, started looking at various opportunities. And of course, I came in, I was a speaker at the Miami World Congress. I do a lot of speaking because of my connects with the National Association of Realtors in India. I've been the vice chairman of that, the president, and currently I'm a global ambassador from NAR India into some countries. So with that, I'd come into uh, the US to, like I said, to Miami for the World Realtors Congress. Met up with a very persistent, lovely lady who spoke to me about eXp. She followed me through, and not literally followed me, but she was going to Boston, and so was I for the NAR annual convention. Met up there again, and then she introduced me to this handsome man called Tom. Tom, and the rest is history. Tom's persuasion, Tom's charm, Carmen, the lady who came into Boston, her charm. Eventually, I succumbed to that, and I said, "Okay, I'm going to join eXp." And before long, um, I was handed out an opportunity to run India for them. And while I was coming in, thinking I'm coming in as an agent or possibly, aspirationally do something more in Middle East and Asia, but then I got this lovely opportunity and I came in, and before long, before I knew it, I was the president of eXp India. So that's my journey as far as eXp is concerned. I of course wear certain other hats also. I am into facility management, so I represent a company called IREP, which is into integrated facility management, energy audits, ESG, etc. So I do that more out of passion. I also I am part of a accelerator and a fund that, which of course is agnostic to all businesses, all verticals, but I specialize in the real estate side of it. So if they make any investments, I'm sort of the person who analyzes it. If it's a prop tech or any other property or built environment or infrastructure based funding, then I'll do the due diligence of that because I understand real estate and finance a bit. So therefore, they've given me that opportunity. So these are two things which I do on the side. But of course, my passion is real estate brokerage, growth of businesses, and EXP essentially is an agent-centric business, very different from what my previous business was. I loved my previous business, by the way, and I
Yes.
exited it because of various reasons, but I loved that business. But I realized when I joined EXP that EXP was leaps and bounds ahead of my previous company. And that's what surprised me. You stay so myopic in something, you don't realize, you don't look around the world, you don't
Yeah.
see things are changing. And I was very passionate about what I was doing, but when I came in here, I said, wow, this is completely different. There are so many things which are different, which, some of them are
Let's get
obviously
into that. Let's get into that, Sam, right?
absolutely
What were the
happy to.
differences? Well, first of all, let's take it back. Let's back it up a little bit. You had basically 3 years to do whatever you would like, and I'm sure you were looking for opportunities. And a person in your position has a lot of opportunities to consider. Let's go back to what were you looking for in terms of the next thing that you wanted to accomplish in your career? What was the next season in your life as a businessman, right? And then how did eXp meet those requirements? And then you talked about those changes. What is it? What are the changes? What is the differences between the old bricks and mortar model versus the cloud-based model? And why are you so excited about the differences?
So essentially, Tom, when you've been there, done that in a particular way, work 9 to 7, 6 days a week, the same routine. You're building brick by brick an organization, and when you exit, then the next time around, you want to do something bigger and better,
Right.
something which is more challenging, because over a period of time, you don't lose your passion or your motivation, but it's sort of, you're doing the same thing over and over again. So you want to do something very, very, very different. So therefore I came in with the idea saying that, hey, why don't I look at building an organization which I can take global? Uh, but then I found an organization which is already global.
Right.
We are in 27, 28 countries and growing, um, hopefully 50 countries by 2030. So we're doing that at eXp. I think the difference was, um, that it's probably the brick and mortar versus uh, the click and mortar, if I may call it. The difference really, when I deep dive, is about the fact that there is a business which probably gives you perpetuity. There is perpetual income. I may, at some point of time, uh, decide to just, take off my boots, pack up, just go on a 18-month
Sure.
vacation,
Well, you
or
want to,
unfortunately,
you want the ability to exit you have
absolutely,
the option to retire. You might not never retire, but the option to
you may
retire
never
with
retire,
residual
but
income.
absolutely, or you could have some unforeseen circumstances, exceptional emergencies, etc. Anything can happen in life.
Right.
Now, in a business like this, where you are building, where you have the ability to sponsor a downline and the ability to build a team which not only earns for themselves, but through the generosity of the organization that you're working for, helps you build revenues for yourself, which is unheard of. The downline doesn't take out a penny. It doesn't give you anything, even though you're mentoring and sponsoring them. But the company rewards you perpetually for whatever service you've done in building the downline. So I think that's something fantastic. And the beauty is that you can pass it on, you can will it to somebody else, over, your spouse, your kids, etc., which is huge. Which you can't get in any other business. You've got to find a buyer for those businesses here. And in real estate, we know that if it's a mom and pop, or a sole proprietor, or any small business, it's very difficult to sell it. And and the moment you walk away from it, all you're getting is the money that you get from your last deal and some furniture that you might be able to sack off. You've got nothing
That's right.
else. There's no goodwill that you're selling, essentially. But
Right.
this is giving you perpetual income. I think that was one very big thing. The
Yep.
other was the technology. The technology that we have is amazing. After 15 odd years in this real estate and probably another 5 years prior to that, I'm still learning. I'm learning new tech, and it's making my life easier. And it's not only about AI, but there's so much that is involved in it. The kind of, right from using Slack to Canva Plus to HubSpot to, Coda to Trello and so on and so forth, different CRMs, you realize that life is becoming so much easier, faster. You have an improvement not only qualitative but quantitative as well. You're able to pack in more work in a shorter period of time. I think that is huge. That is something which I never got. And
Right.
then, of course, simple things like the equity model. You're able to buy equity into the organization. I don't think any organization, at least I've never bought equity into a company that I was working with in the past, and I've had the opportunity to come in here and uh, uh, get equity. Uh, Besides the revenue share, this equity is huge because you also get it at a discounted value. So these are things which I feel excite you and make you feel as though you own the organization, and you do own a fractional portion of the organization in any way.
That's right. I love that. So, and the difference is, yeah, you talked about perpetual income. That's unheard of out there. And by the way, a lot of our copycat companies who's coming onto the market, if you're launching a brand new brokerage now, most of them have the same motto. They have a form of revenue share. They have a form of ownership of equity, fractional ownership. But and the technology piece, when what I found, Sam, and I think you can verify this, is under the franchise model, yeah, those tools are available. But if the agents want access, they can pay extra for it. At eXp, it's all packaged in there, right?
Absolutely.
It's all packaged in there.
Absolutely.
So we built the model to provide the agents with all the tools necessary to become a real estate professional, and there's no upcharge for any of that. Talk to us about now the the real estate market in India itself. India is a massive country. What's going on in real estate in India? Tell us, and then let's get into why folks should be thinking about diversifying their real estate portfolio if they're looking to diversify into India, and then move on to, if you're an entrepreneur in India, why you might want to consider getting your license to join the firm.
Absolutely. So, for one, I think as far as the real estate market in India is concerned, um, my belief is that the market is still a long way off. The growth possibilities are huge. We have almost, I'd say, um, almost. So I'll give you an example of Delhi, which is where I am.
Hmm.
40% of Delhi is still not urbanized.
Okay.
We still have agricultural land, which needs a change of land use to residential, commercial, retail,
Hmm.
industrial, data centers, warehousing, all that is yet to happen. So there is urbanization, which is still continuing.
Yep.
There are, uh, so there is uh, let's say there's a movement from smaller towns into larger cities, which took place over the last 15 years.
Hmm.
But now, smaller and mid sized towns are popping up, coming up with a lot of opportunities on the back office, on the call centers, the BPOs, on the global competency centers. As an example, the US has, you know, I'd say a few million agents or few million workers coming in, using or offering services to American companies through these global competency centers. And these are coming up in smaller towns or mid-sized towns. Now, that is itself keeping people back near the smaller rural areas or the tier two cities, and they're staying back rather than coming into the top four or five metros, which means that there's huge urbanization taking place. There is the We've got very strong transit and transport system that's come up. The road network is one of the best in the world. The railway network is one of the largest in the world. We've got a, a lot of, let's say, we're probably the largest purchasers of Airbus and Boeing in the world today. The number of airports that are popping up all across the country is huge. So there's a lot of infrastructure development that's taking place, whether it's roads, rails, airports, etc. New metros coming up.
Hmm.
There are cities that are being built. Um, you know, um, for Western India, as an example, there's a city called Dholera which has come up. So the new cities coming up all across. A lot of primary business, which means new homes, uh, off plan as well as ready to move in, but a lot of new homes coming in. The government has regulated and regularized uh, construction. That means, real estate acquisition of uh, land, construction, and financing. Now, when you do all of that, essentially what happens is that buyers have more confidence to purchase products. When they have the confidence because of the Real Estate Regulatory Act that's come up, and real estate being a state subject in India, not a federal subject. Um, every state has been given a uniform Real Estate Regulatory Act. Every agent now, or every broker, as we call it in India, is supposed to be certified, trained and certified, licensed. And what is happening further is that the developers are having to put money in the escrow. So everything that was not there in India, I know the US and Canada
Sure.
had this, it's not there even in most parts of the world, but
Hmm.
India is, I would say, amongst the first 10 countries in the world to imbibe a Real Estate Regulatory Act.
Got it.
And that has been far-reaching because it's boost the investor confidence into buying not only homes for themselves, into moving into larger homes, into buying holiday homes, second homes, comfort homes, pilgrimage homes, different kinds of homes, non-resident Indians buying into India. Uh, a lot of Indians who are staying overseas want to buy homes because they want to set up an arbitrage, risk arbitrage, political arbitrage, financial arbitrage. So they're buying properties back home as comfort homes for opportunities which they will lose otherwise because they're probably buying or putting all their eggs into one basket in one country.
Hmm.
So that is the difference between what was being done in India about 20 years ago and what has happened over the last 3, 4 years. Huge change. Also, the Indian stock market, the capital market has really done well. So people have made a lot of money over the last, from COVID till now, people have made a lot of money. And you want to change your class of asset. You don't want to put all your money in one asset class, and you want to again hedge your risk. So for that arbitrage, they've taken the money from the capital market, and put it also into the property market. And that's what's actually picked the real estate market up. I believe it's going to stay up for the next 5, 10 years. I don't think there's any looking back.
Yeah.
But I also want to talk about the reverse, because the cross-border business is a two-way track. It's not about investing into India,
Yep.
but it's also about investing overseas.
Yes.
And India, as you know, is probably the second largest population of non-residents or immigrants in all parts of the world.
Right.
Imagine the US, I would say highly influential, educated. I would say both the Chinese as well as the Indians have done really well for themselves in the US.
Yeah.
And I think that is an opportunity where those in the US, say the non-resident Indians or persons of Indian origin, who at some point of time them or their parents or their grandparents migrated into the US, a lot of them would want to buy properties in India. And that is a huge opportunity because we have a lot of primary market, which is off-market properties that are coming up. In fact, the percentage of new developments is huge because we're still a developing country. And so therefore, I would say, for example, there'd be about over 5,000 developers just in North India,
Hmm.
uh, construction companies, development companies, builders who are actually building small to large, um, developments here. So those are great opportunities to sell in the US market, which
Right.
means a realtor in the US could actually work with an Indian based out of the US and help him buy properties from India, and we could help identify the developers, bring those developers into the US, do road shows, and sell those properties to them back home in
Right.
India. Now, that
Right.
itself, because these guys want those comfort homes, and that's a great investment opportunity for them to hedge their risks by buying properties back home.
And that is a trend that is picking up, or
Absolutely, absolutely.
yeah, yeah. Indians have definitely done very well here in the United States and in other parts of the country as well. I mean, interesting. Okay, so talk about you mentioned earlier that the brokers in India have to be licensed now. So give us the demographics, Sam, of approximately how many licensed real estate brokers are there in the country now, and where do you see that number going in the next 5 years?
So let me tell you, the total number of brokers in India would be shockingly about 5 million.
Okay.
But the number of brokers or agents that are registered would be a less than 100,000.
Okay.
And because the act is new,
Yes.
so it is obviously taking time for people to understand that this is important. But because of compliance and regulatory restrictions, developers have now stopped entertaining anybody who's not certified as certified under RERA. RERA is RERA, regulate Real Estate Regulatory Act. So if
Real
he's not
Estate
registered under
Regulatory Act, RERA,
that's right,
RERA. Okay.
RERA. So
So
if
there's
he's
about
not
100,000
registered,
of those now out of 5 million that call themselves brokers.
absolutely, because anybody and everybody who sells in the secondary market, there's a primary market, which is the developments, new
Hmm.
developments, and the resale properties are called in India secondary market. So the primary market or the new market, new developments, RERA is something you need a certificate, you need a license, and only then can you sell those. And
Yep.
those are regulated by the developers itself,
Okay.
because the developers ensure they don't allow somebody to sell a property if he's not registered.
Why is that, Sam?
That's because
Why,
they
why,
have a
why would
directive.
developers want someone to be RERA certified?
Well, they want him to be RERA certified because that's a directive from the government itself.
I see.
So RERA, so therefore they don't have a choice.
Got
But
it.
when it comes to secondary sales, which is what, one buyer and a seller direct sale,
Yep.
so the resale, there the regulatory has not come up with certification and licensing. It's
Right.
still, I would say it'll take another 3 to 5 years for that to happen. As soon as that happens, then everybody will come into the umbrella.
Right.
As of today, that's not happened, and therefore, this disparity in terms of the number of people that are registered and those that are unregistered. Um, but I feel that given another 3 to 5 years, this will change. And therefore, in our case, as an example, eXp India, we are registered in 17 states across the country, which is probably one of the largest anybody else is. So every state, like I said, it's a state subject. So each state, we are somehow, we've got ourselves registered, we've got a license to practice in those states, and therefore any agent who joins us automatically has the ability to log in a property and or buy and sell property on through eXp, of course, in any of these 17 states, which is almost unheard of in India.
I was going to say that it's unheard of because we're one
Absolutely.
brokerage under the sun, and of course, one brokerage in all of India, and that gives them
Absolutely.
the ability to market their properties throughout India under one platform, right?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
that is a big differentiator between others, among other real estate brokerages out there.
Absolutely. And you see, when you take a license, you have to study for it. You have to, you have to pay money for it because there's a license fee to it, etc. So if an individual goes, or even if a company goes and certifies themselves and pays for it all across, he's going to pay a huge amount of money. While with us, he's only paying a monthly fee,
Yes.
and he's enjoying this whole opportunity.
Okay. I love it. So your job is to grow India and hopefully beyond. Um,
Absolutely.
if you've got someone who's listening to this now, or if you've got agents here in the US who might know US, Canada, Mexico, wherever, we're in 27 countries now, and they want to get involved with eXp India, sell them on that. Sell them why should they take a hard look at eXp India versus doing it on their own or another brand. Here's the time for you to help us shine here.
Well, for one, you have a great leader in me right here. So, I
Yes.
don't want to mince words.
Let's not
No,
mince
but
any words. Yes.
no, but honestly, on a serious note, I think what's important is that we, as an organization, probably are the best suited because of the fact that we have the technology, we have the vision, we have the foresight. I mentioned the license. We've got all of that, which none of the other companies have.
Yep.
Like I said, I brought ourselves to 3,500 agents at some point of time. I believe I'll be able to bring this up also to those numbers are probably larger because we've got more attraction. Think of it this way: when you buy a franchise, you pay a few $1,000s. Probably, you pay upwards of $10,000 to buy a franchise. You set up an office, you set up a team, and you do all of that. So before you've started, you put in between $50,000 to $100,000, and you set up a franchise. Good for
That's
you.
right.
But now there's an investment, so you need a return on that investment as well. But when you're working with eXp, we are talking about spending small change. You're actually putting in 2,500 rupees, which is approximate less than $30.
Wow.
So $30, how much you buy a donut and a coffee for in the morning when you step out for
Oh yeah, that's
I
ten
won't say
dollars. Yep.
Dunkin' for $10. So yeah,
Yep.
so 3 days and you've spent the whole month's cloud fee, so as to say. So the entry, so we've not kept any entry barriers purposely because
Yep.
what you don't want is you don't want anybody and everybody coming in.
Right.
However, we've got a very strong filter.
Hmm.
So it's not about the money, it's how, do you have fire in the belly? Are you experienced? Do you have honesty? Do you have integrity? Do you have
Yep.
transparency in yourself? If you have all of that, we'll bring you in. If you're there to skim the system, cheat the system, not report your transactions, we don't want you.
Right.
Um, but the beauty is because of the fact that we have this opportunity of getting in developers from across the country. So there is a system in India that every developer gives you something called the annual operating plan, AOP. Now, if you sign up an AOP with somebody, with a developer, and we've done a lot of those in India, um, you get the best brokerage possible because they go on a slab system. Because of your track record, you're able to say that, hypothetically, if the brokerage is 2%, if you do an X number nationally, and that's the advantage we have because we're national, we're able to get maybe a plus 1%
Right.
brokerage. If you're able to do an X target and do it from every project that they have across the country, you probably get a higher slab. So when you get a much higher slab, the opportunity that you have is the commission or the brokerage that you get is much more than what the average person in the market is getting. So
Right.
we are able to aggregate our entire brokerage for our agents, and that is what collective voice, collective purchase, uh, uh, makes possible for us. So that's a huge difference. The agent gets a lot more money than he would have normally got. We get, of course, our fee as well, which you don't get in any other business. And of course, like I said earlier, that the downline, the sponsoring, is a huge benefit which nobody else can get. Cross-border referrals. Imagine if I give a referral to somebody and then I have to follow through and ask him for the money versus if I just bung it through myself as a managing broker and another managing broker in another country, and the referral is cleared through a document which is virtually signed, a, a percentage which is already fixed. That doesn't happen in India so easily. It is a verbal communication versus having a document which is signed by two individuals. Even if it's in India, a a buyer representative and a seller representative will sign. It'll be a referral agreement. I will co-sign it as to ensure that the transaction actually takes place. The money will come into eXp. We will make sure that the buyer and the seller rep gets their money and the balance comes to us. It doesn't happen in any brokerage in India. It may be common practice the world over, or at least in the US, but in India, this doesn't happen, and we make that happen. I think that's a huge advantage. The money's coming into an escrow
Yeah.
literally with us, and we're distributing it.
That's a huge advantage. Okay. So Sam, we're coming up on our 45 minutes here. Let's see. Are you going to be in Barcelona?
Absolutely.
You're going to come to
Absolutely.
Barcelona, so I get
Yeah,
to
I'm
see
going
you
to
in
be there.
Barcelona. All right.
Looking forward to seeing you there.
Yay. So I'm pulling up the screen here. This is my website. It's agentsgetfree.com. And do you see Sam Chopra here? Meet Sam Chopra. That's today's call, right? And then we're going to be in Barcelona. So June 23rd, 24th, and 25th. I'll see you there. That's just in 2 weeks, Sam.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
All right. Now, where do people find you? How's the best way for folks to find you, Sam?
I think LinkedIn is the best way to find me.
LinkedIn.
And,
Okay. So let me
if
share Sam's LinkedIn here on the screen so folks can see. You can message Sam through LinkedIn. This is his profile here. Sam Chopra. Okay. There you go. So find Sam here and reach out to him, message him, and you will he'll get back in touch with you. We've got a few people in the audience. Do you have any questions that you want to ask of Sam?
Yes.
Go ahead, Scott.
Hey, Sam. I'm
Hey,
now
Scott.
right outside of Edison, New Jersey. Do you know the community?
Well, I know New Jersey, but not the rest of it. Yeah.
No problem. If I find someone and meet them, I can tell them that if they're interested in real estate in India, that they could reach out to you, or you'll put them in contact with agents in various places?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And anything related to non-residential property, or mostly development and existing houses?
When you say I didn't get the non-resident bit.
Either commercial or industrial or office. I
Of
mean,
course,
retail.
all. It could be residential, it could be commercial, it could be retail, it could be warehouses, logistics, all of that, data
Wonderful.
centers. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I'd be happy to, connect you, get a referral done in the city that they want to buy a home or any other non-residential property.
Great. You said Remax was active and they have franchises all over, but we have one country broker. You're a great point of contact. Is the same thing for like Keller Williams or Coldwell Banker? Just franchises
Unfortunately,
in the country?
unfortunately, Coldwell Banker hasn't done as well in India, and Keller Williams, of course, has their own brokerage in India, but only in one. They're only in Delhi NCR, where we are. So, unlike us, where we are all across the country.
Nice. Sounds good.
Thank you.
All right.
Hi, Sam. My name
Hi,
is
Riddhi.
Riddhi. Hello, hello. I'm an entrepreneur and I have I have two startups which are based out of Massachusetts. And I had the opportunity to get introduced to Tom, and that's how I'm here. Uh, Really enjoyed listening to you today. I think my idea of coming onto here was to sort of understand the vision, right? It was very important for me to see how everything gets, placed properly in the jigsaw puzzle of our country. And I kind of get what what the larger idea is. It's about just creating a massive ecosystem for real estate entities inside our country. And as I understand today, the market is very fragmented. I'm from Bombay. I have been very privy to how the process my dad went through to find a house, and it's cumbersome,
Yes.
right? And I think as an engineer, I'm always thinking of ideas on how to like make it simpler, make it easier, make it more efficient. One of Speaking of an ecosystem that you're trying to create, this is basically like a resource pool for your entire company that we're creating, that the agents then get benefited from. One of the very crucial aspects of it, the way I see it, is data, right? And one thing that I think the real estate market is missing today is centralized data systems. How do you make data more democratized? I just want to hear your viewpoint on it. Do you agree that that is, something that needs to be worked on? And if it is being worked on, like, what is the roadmap here? What's the game plan?
Well, you're right. Absolutely, data needs to, be available to everybody. So while we have data one side, which means that we have data of who's bought or sold properties, and that comes through the CRMs that each country or each company has and maintains. So that data is available. But what is not available, unfortunately, in India, and therefore an MLS is it's very difficult to get an MLS in India because
Yeah.
of the parallel economy that we have. So the cash system, unfortunately, doesn't let you record the true value of the property that you have bought or sold. And but let me also assure you that over a period of time, I've been in the trade for now 25 years. I've seen from the time where 95% of the money in certain cases was in cash and 5% was a recorded transaction, to now, at least with the developers, it's almost 100% through a recorded transaction and zero cash. The secondary sales, which are still not fully regulated, still have a lot of cash, but I believe it's thinning out. from being maybe 60, 70% at some point of time, it's gone down to maybe 20 or 30%. Cash is going to be cumbersome over a period of time. India's already, got micro to large digitized payment, methods. So all that is bringing us towards a point of time where maybe in the next 5 years, there'll be minimal cash used by people. I think the tax laws have also gone fairly, beneficial for a buyer and a seller. So things are changing. But that part is still yet to be discovered. Discovery of actual price, to go on to, say, if I go and hover around a property, if I look at a hotel property on a hotel portal, I can know what the price is, right? But if I don't have a Zillow kind of a mechanism here where I can hover and say, this is the last sale price. Even if it is there, it won't be a genuine price because it'll not be it'll have some cash component. It'll hide the actual true value. Therefore, the MLS and others have a problem in coming up in India.
That is
Great.
insightful. I agree 100%.
And
Thank you.
this might be a bold question to ask. Is eXp going to help solve any of that problem going forward with the technology that hopefully we have access to or we plan on building a national MLS?
So we would want to build a national MLS. I know that there were talks, and probably rumors or otherwise that I'd heard that eXp did want to have something to do with MLSs, and I would definitely love to be a part of that process. And I feel that in the long run, because of the cash component moving out of the system, and because eXp being a US publicly listed company is definitely not going to work on any cash transactions. When agents come to me and I ask them to, I've started asking for tax returns as an example, because I want to be doubly sure this guy is truly a realtor. He's truly reporting his transactions. If he says I've done $100,000 worth of transactions or gross commission earned, and then I say, hey, so can I see your tax returns? And he says everything was in cash. I don't want to touch him with a barge pole. So I said, thank you. Thanks, but no thanks. I'm not going to work with you. So he's
Right.
out of the system. If somebody does a cash transaction,
Yeah.
I don't want to know about it. I don't want to deal with him. I don't want to be part of that transaction. As simple as that. So we'll have lesser people, but we'll have, what I call the HIT philosophy: honesty, integrity, and transparency. We'll have people who are part of that HIT philosophy. Lesser is better. Low quantity, high in quality is what we're
Yeah.
looking at.
Quality over quantity any day of the week.
Absolutely.
All
Absolutely.
right. I think we're coming up on the hour. Thank you, Sam Chopra, for your time. Thank
Thank
you,
you,
audience,
Tom.
for jumping on. Really, you had a great question there, Scott. You too. Think of Sam for your referrals, both inbound and outbound. And I will see you in Barcelona, Sam.
Absolutely. And thanks very much for having me on your show, Tom, and all of you for gracing us today. Thanks very much, and hope to see you guys again soon.
Good night
Cheers.
to
Take
you
care.
in Delhi. All
Thank
right.
you very much.
Bye-bye.
You guys take care.